Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Marvelous Mates, Episode 3. We're joined with our first guest, Colin! Woo!
Howdy, guys.
And Colin, can you give us a brief description of your job title and what you do?
So my job title is Firefighter Paramedic. I work, without getting too specific, in the state of Florida. And some of my jobs include fire suppression as well as administering pre-hospital ALS treatment.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
I like that.
Now, today we'll be drinking a fireman sour, fittingly,
How very fitting.
to wash down these delicious shots that we'll be taking one after another.
That is my first time trying that. That is pretty good.
I haven't tried it yet.
That is incredibly
good.
pleasant.
That is worth it. That is.
I made it the other night too, and I forgot it.
Damn, it's pretty good.
So without further ado, let's hop right into these
First shot,
shots.
baby. So the first shot we have for you, Colin, is called the Bananarama. If
right.
you can guess what that is.
Guess
It's
what it
banana.
tastes like.
Yeah, it's a cherry.
Peaches.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Gross. Also,
Oh my
least favorite
gosh.
one.
Pleasant.
Really? That
I
was.
hate bananas. That's the only thing.
I'm not a big banana flavored guy, but that was quite good.
Ugh. All right, you know, I get it. You like
See,
it. All
I'm
right, I
just
understand.
saying.
I'm
I
not saying
got to
I'm
be an
right.
advocate for it.
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying you're wrong. All right.
Fair enough.
So the first question we have for you actually is, how many of the calls that you take are actually fire related?
So fire related, it can be. That's kind of it's a difficult question to kind of answer because fire related, a lot of the calls, in terms of actual fires, minimal. So structure fires, either residential or commercial, or anything that is actually on fire. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's like trash fires, brush fires, things like that. Those aren't super common. Most of the time, if you're on the engine that day, the majority of your calls are going to be fire alarms.
Okay.
So fire alarms, incredibly common, and the majority of times they turn out to be nothing.
Did they just get tripped off or anything like that?
Yeah, like somebody's cooking, something like that, or a lot of people don't know this, but during construction, just even dust can activate a fire alarm.
Wow.
Like a
Just
smoke detector.
Clogs up the smoke detector?
Yeah, just kind of the
Wow.
particulate can block something, and it
Wow.
sets it off.
That's pretty cool. I did not know that. So
Wow.
now-
Yeah. So actually, I'm curious. How does the fire alarm system work? Do you guys have like a database that it runs off of, or how do those calls like come into you?
So depends on the facility. A lot of the times, all the smoke alarms or the smoke detectors, they're connected to, in bigger facilities like commercial buildings, whether they're hotels, nursing homes, things like that. They're all connected through a database, and there's called a fire alarm control panel or an annunciator. So what we can do is when we walk in, we want to locate that panel early, and that'll tell us pretty much exactly where it's going to be. So what floor it's on and what's tripping it. So sometimes it'll just be either if the power got cut or if it's saying actual smoke or whatever, and then that can kind of give you an idea of whether or not it's a legit call, because if you see 20 alarms going off on the same floor or something like that, you're like, okay,
this is for real.
or if you see it in one unit, and then we'll go up to that unit and then we'll kind of investigate, but it at least kind of targets it. And then sometimes the alarm company will contact dispatch directly, and that will respond to us.
Okay. You know, I never knew that.
Yeah,
I never knew that.
I always was curious because we had that in City Hall like happen all the time, where people would like, trip the fire alarm, or middle schools,
all
you know,
the
when you
time,
were
yeah.
in school all the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
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 Like I
Thing-
used to work in a restaurant, and the back with the panel you were
Mhm.
talking about is always tripping. Like it was always tripping off, and it's just like
Exactly.
we know
it,
why.
It could go off for a number of reasons other than smoke or
An
anything
actual
like
reason.
that. Mhm.
So there's I'm assuming a lot of ones that aren't related to fire at all, right? I mean,
Yeah, the majority of, and again, this kind of depends on where you are, where your department is, but a lot of it is, for the most part, medical. Fire calls are a very small percentage of it. So a lot of departments, depending on where you are, you're hired as a firefighter EMT or a firefighter paramedic, so you're certified in both.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're at least skilled in both, and then it kind of depends on what you're on that day, so you could have a different apparatus designation. So some days you're on the engine, some days you're on the rescue, but the rescue is inevitably going to be always busier than the engine. So
Oh, okay. I see. All right, we're gonna move on to the next shot. We got the
Lemon drop, baby.
Lemon drop.
I've been looking forward to this one.
Yeah, this is my favorite. Like, this is one of those that you can just kind of
Cheers,
drink.
guys.
Yes, sir. Oh my god, it's just like lemonade every time.
It's just lemonade.
I just want.
Oh
I
my
want
God.
more of that. Give me that.
Delightful.
So, you guys use a lot of different life-saving tools. Like you guys have, the hose, the ladder, and the jaws of life. Is that what they're called? What is your favorite one to use, and which ones haven't you gotten to use and would like to use more, etc.? What?
So yeah, you're definitely right. Great question. The jaws of life that they're commonly referred to on the civilian side, they're in our field we refer to them as the spreaders, and then there's also the cutters.
Oh,
so
okay.
the cutters are the big scissors, and then the spreaders are the ones we're used to kind of
Pry
do a
stuff
door
apart.
pop, or just more for spreading,
Gotcha.
for lack of a better term. I haven't got the chance to use them much on actual calls. I have, but definitely those are the most fun to do.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, depending on the call, like it's a very high stakes situation, especially depending on the condition of the patient. Like if they're very critical, you have an inside medic in there, so you have one of your own who goes in there who's taking care of patient care. With cutting, there's a lot of different considerations. Like there's the airbags and the support beams, so you have the A, B, C posts that you're trying to cut off. And then you have to be careful, obviously, not to cut the patient. Be mindful of broken glass. So when you're taking glass, you have to cover the patient. You just want to make sure that you're not causing more harm than good.
Sure. Yeah.
You're telling me you don't want to hurt the people you're trying to
don't wanna-
save?
Believe it or not, I know it's.
You don't want glass to explode all in their face. That's
Yeah,
weird.
That sounds like a good time to me. Like,
Yeah,
damn,
and,
all right.
even if it's not the glass, the dust from cutting the glass, it's
Oh,
horrible.
true.
So I mean, you got to
Yeah.
make sure you have the right PPE on. So using like N95 masks, iPro, all that stuff, really nasty. And I mean, just for the longevity of the career, it's important.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm about to say, like, I know PPE is always important in any job. Like, I mean, shit, he has it, we have it, same thing. For you guys, like, is your PPE, like, you know how you have your code of conduct and all that? Like, how serious is it taken to have all your personal protection equipment? Like, do they do checks and all that kind of thing?
So yeah, we do quarterly inspections where you look through. I mean, without getting too much into it, like everything is to an NFPA standard. So the boots that you wear, the bunker pants that you wear, the jacket that you wear, the hood that you wear, the helmet that you wear, the SCBA face piece, the
Right.
SCBA pack itself, everything. You need to have everything, and everything has to work as intended. So we do quarterly inspections to make sure there's no holes in it, make sure everything is functioning as intended. Every morning, we check out our air packs, given that's basically our life source in a
about
fire.
to say.
Yeah, so we make sure those are operating, functionally, making sure, they're delivering the air through the face
Nice.
piece.
Okay.
So it's really important that everything works as intended, and we take it very seriously. So, and there's always incident commanders at every scene. So like at fires, it's usually battalion chief, and they take it very seriously. They will not let you in. Like if they see you walking in, they will not let you in. Let's say if you're missing your hood or something, you don't have your gloves,
Nice.
they will not let you in or even near the scene, because sometimes
Wow.
the smoke's drifting out through wind or what have you. So they take it very seriously, and I'm glad
That's great,
I'm
yeah.
at a place that takes it that seriously.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because there's definitely in this country and around the world alone, firefighting is so different. Like, some people don't even require any kind of PPE on some places of the world. They're just trying to put out a fire that's there. So, like, it's always good to see, especially in the Florida area, that the people are doing their job and doing it right. So we have the next question that we're going to move on to after we take this shot, which is also one of my favorite ones. Kamikaze, baby. One of my favorite Eminem
Kamikaze.
albums. Yes, sir.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, cheers. This one's kind of laid back. I love that, by the way, still. Ooh.
I know it's going to be on the screen, but do you mind if I ask what's in that?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's excuse me. It's lime juice is mostly what you're tasting.
You taste it. That's tequila right there. It's almost.
Yeah, I think it's a triple as well.
Is it triple sec?
I think so.
Yeah.
So it's almost like
Could
a
be wrong.
margarita
I could
shot,
be wrong.
kind of.
I'm gonna look
Yeah, right.
so dumb when it appears on the screen. Guys, I make all of them, but there's a lot to keep track of. There's a lot of moving parts. I mean, because I know the lemon drop has triple sec. That's what you're tasting. But
Guys, you can shit on him all you want. It's okay.
no,
Put it in the
the
comments.
lemon
Shit on
the
him.
lemon drop is vodka, lemon juice, and simple syrup. And then this one, I believe, is triple sec. That's why it tastes like that.
Cancel Skylar 2023.
For those of you at home, I know the shots play a factor in the show, but I don't think you guys realize how good these are. Like,
like those
these are
wrestling-
delightful, by the way.
Yeah,
These aren't trying to, catch you off guard and make
so
for a crazy
good.
episode.
Yeah.
That's what-
Also, we're drinking 6 in a very short amount of time.
We're doing. Hey, just behind the scenes, because we're gonna be wearing the same clothes anyway. Yeah, we do 3 in a day. Do the math.
They do.
He doesn't. But this question is actually a really laid back question. It involves when you're off of work. Like, I know the firefighter, you have to be like working a lot of hours. What are your days like off of work? Like, what do you kind of like go as like a peaceful time to, and does it also get not ruined but interrupted with work calls if you're on call or anything like that?
So yeah, that's a great question. For me, at least, I'm not on call. My off days are, for the most part, my off days, unless for some reason somebody calls out. And although it occasionally happens, it hasn't happened to me, but sometimes overtime has to get forced, which can be kind of difficult. But for me, it hasn't happened a lot of the times because our schedule is 24 on, 48 off. So getting to what my off days look like, it kind of depends on what the 24 looked like. Because if you have 4 after midnight and you're just running, and we do sleep on the job, or at least we
try.
We try. There's beds in the station, there's dorms, stuff like that. So we have the ability to sleep. It's just a matter of kind of what the call volume looks like. So if I just get hammered all day, couple after midnight, then the next day there's gonna be sleep. Like I hate to say it kind of feels like a waste of a day, but you're just never catching up. Like you can't just power through it.
I'm sure there's really busy days, and then there's some days where you're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I can just lay in my bed right now.
But I'm sure that also gets boring from time to time, where you're just like waiting, twiddling your thumbs.
In a way, we have lots of different things to do to stay busy. There's always like cleaning or training, just because we never know kind of what the next call is going to be or when we're going to get a call.
Yep.
So, we train on different things, like generally kind of the low frequency, high risk skills. So things that don't happen that often, but have the high potential for danger, or at least high potential for injury, I should say. So there's always training that can be done. There's always cleaning, cooking, things like that. But what a lot of people don't understand is even on a day where it's not necessarily that busy. So let's say you had only like a couple calls and you didn't have any after midnight. That's kind of the guideline for the firefighter world, where you say, how many after midnight did you have? You always ask the other guy. But even if you don't have any, at least for me, there's kind of that almost, you can't really sleep that great. I mean, if you're kind of had a long day, then maybe you will.
Yeah.
But you're always kind of waking up. You're like, okay, did I sleep through something? Or like you're always checking, because we get pagers too that go off. There's tones in the station. So
so you ain't missing it.
I have, but it was not my proudest moment. But it happens when you're completely exhausted. But the way I like to describe it is, like, sometimes when I sleep and I have to set an alarm, you know how you kind of like wake up like multiple times throughout the night. You're like, did I sleep through it? Mm-hmm. It's like an alarm has been set. You don't know when it's going to go off, and you don't know how many times it's going to go off.
Oh, man.
So like picturing that throughout the night, you're just like,
get little jump scares.
So you wake up and you're like, okay, and it's just like, it doesn't make for a great night's sleep. So even if you had like 0 after midnight, or even if you had no calls that day, sometimes you're just like kind of paranoid, and I'm sure that goes away with time on the job.
Yeah.
But like even the next day, you're just kind of like, kind of need a nap, and you're like, oh, did you run all night?
Yeah, I didn't ask you this in the beginning, but how long have you been officially doing this for?
So I have just over a year on the job. So anybody who kind of watches the firefighter shows knows that a year you're on probation, or called a probie. So I just passed my probationary year.
Oh, nice.
And I'm officially, I got the black shield, which means I'm a firefighter now.
Yeah,
So
well, congratulations.
thank you so much. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it. Love the job.
Can't wait to have you back on in like a couple of years, and you're like,
oh man,
I haven't slept in 7 days.
You'll see me with like double sleeved up. I'll be salty. I'll be like, don't even get me started.
Big ass beard.
I've seen some
We'll be doing 12 shots. I'll have just gotten off shift. It'll be.
It's gonna be in the middle of the night too.
Oh my god.
I don't sleep anymore.
So when you guys are like off, or you guys are on shift, but you're not out on a call.
Right.
do you guys ever get into like the middle of like a Monopoly game or watching like a show or something, and then you get the call and you're like, God damn it!
Oh, all the time.
Yeah,
the best is when we're like sitting down to eat, and since the rescue's busier, it's always like rescue eats first.
Yeah.
So they're like, get in the rescue, and we get our food. There have been times where I either just sit down or I stick the fork in the whatever, put one bite in my mouth, tones go off, and I'm like, I almost wish I didn't even get that bite, because it's like now I know like how good it was, and it's just like you come back and sometimes it's like a long transport or whatever, and it's just like you come back and you're just like, you're either starving or just like, I don't even want this anymore, but I need to eat something. It's just like
just disappointed.
Oh, but the amount of like, I just got off probation, so I really wasn't kind of playing the games or watching the movies, but that definitely happens all the time, and you hear it across the station, like people be watching TV and a call goes off and they're just
damn it, I just got Boardwalk.
Just like that.
Oh my.
They're just like, forget it.
That's great. That's freaking awesome.
But anything you could think of, like any inconvenient circumstance,
It's
Oh,
happening.
yeah.
I bet.
or like using the bathroom or something, like you're just like,
Oh man.
Or
you're like
something.
crowning.
or showering, that's a big one. Like at the end of the day, either you were training or just had a long day, maybe a fire, a car accident. You're like, okay, it's late at night, let me try and take a shower. Like the second you get in, put the shampoo in, you're like, and that's a call. And
Damn.
but they're pretty understanding about that, they
But it's
they
like-
get things happen.
You're in the middle of having some fun with a nice young lady or something. It's like,
I don't know if you're doing that one on call. I mean, hey,
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 I've
can
never
all-
seen it. I've never done it.
we can
but
all be so lucky.
hey, man. Sometimes if you can get a little loose, get away for a while.
Hey, you can. Why not?
Hey, All right, let's move on to our next one here. This is the melon ball.
I am stoked for this one. I'm guessing this has Midori in it.
Close. It's yes.
Melon
It-
liqueur.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Waiting for him to spit it out like it tastes like shit.
Be like, thought you said this is good.
That's incredible.
I love that sweet melon, man. It's so good.
It is good, actually. I like that little like sour taste that it has to it. It kind of works with
It's
everything.
nice.
It's like an uncommon flavor, but like a Midori sour. Oh, it's hard to
God.
beat it.
Oh, it's so good. Or like an emerald martini.
That's what it is.
Speaking my language, no, it's nothing near this Firefighter sour, but
I'm about to say this is probably the best drink you've made so far. Just throwing out there.
This one's pretty good.
that is delightful.
Oh yes. What do you got?
Lay it on me.
What is the craziest slash most interesting call that you've been on so far? Like, what's...
I should have known this question was coming,
I
and
mean-
I've been trying to like think, because I know that's always like
Yeah,
that was
what do you-
everybody's first question.
Oh, yeah, this is a good.
I have one that's kind of interesting. I don't know if it qualifies as like crazy, but it was last year, right like in December. I had just gotten out of recruit training. I was on shift, and a call came in. I was maybe 3 shifts in, and it came across as high-rise structure fire. So you're looking at that, and you're just like, this
Damn.
is serious, You're like, so I'm like panicking. I'm like trying to like throw my stuff on. We're like racing. It's in this one apartment complex, and everybody who gets the different structure fires have different alarm assignments. Like how many rescues, how many engines, how many battalion chiefs, how many whatever gets assigned to the
right.
call, and your task or your job is assigned based on what order you get there. So the first engine is generally fire attack. So that's the one everybody wants. You're on the hose. You're doing the work. And then there's the first driving rescues, generally inside trucks. They're kind of doing search, all that stuff. So we were pretty close to it, and I can't remember, but we weren't the first people there, and I think the officer was kind of mad about that. And so then we pull up. We're trying to find an assignment, and they're just like, no, it turns out it wasn't anything. But the thing was, it was cold. Remember like how last year it was kind of cold throughout right like in December. So a lot of people, what they do is they turn their heaters on, and
All that
there's
dust.
exactly
Yep.
and a lot of people don't know this, but there's dust that builds up, and so when they turn the heater on, the coils hit the dust. It kind of burns. You smell like a little. Sometimes it smokes out the apartment or house. Other times you kind of just smell like a little smoky, and people get concerned, call 911, what have you. But this time there actually was smoke flooding the apartment, and we were kind of there a little bit later, and So we're standing by, we're geared up, ready to go, ready to do work, and the battalion chief comes out of the it was in the apartment complex. The battalion chief comes out of the apartment complex. A couple people come out of the apartment complex, and I heard one person go, Chief, you kind of smell like weed. And I'm like, that's a funny comment. I was like, I don't know him like that, so I probably, wouldn't say that. And then somebody else goes, yeah, it kind of smells like weed. And I'm like, Later, I come to find out that somebody had stashed their weed inside the air vent. They thought that would be a good place to hide it. And I guess they pushed it too far back, and it landed on deep in the air vent on the heating coil. So somebody turned on the heater, and it basically
just smoked out.
It smoked out the entire apartment. It literally hotboxed the entire apartment. So everybody there, everybody there had to fill out an exposure report, because if they got randomly drug tested, they obviously pop positive. And I went to another station that was actually in there, and their gear just reeked. It was, and you were just like, oh no, because the way they found out was like, sometimes it's just like a burnt AC belt or something. So they're like, okay, let's turn the air off and see if it kind of clears up. Right. Sure enough, they turned the heat off, cleared out, they turned it back on, smoked out again, and they're like,
shit.
No way.
Yeah, that's not a good look.
That's crazy.
I was saying, you've never felt better ever since.
Damn, that gives
like some of the people had the air on, other time like other people kind of like down to the bottom, and some people said they were feeling it. So.
I love that.
That gives us firefighters a couple weeks to have some fun without getting in trouble.
It's like, hey, no drug tests randomly. All right, we're good.
Got an excuse.
Crazy. No way.
And I was literally like a couple shifts on the job at that point, maybe 3. So seeing that, I was like, is this how it is? I was like, no. And gotta say, that hasn't happened since. But
like, damn it, man, get used to these kind of calls.
Imagine.
Holy shit.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next one before we start getting secondhand story high. What is this one? This is the
blue balls, baby.
Blue ball. This is the blue balls.
Blue balls.
Should be able to forget this one. We've all had blue balls once in a while, right? God, I still love that one.
You know what's crazy? That's probably the strongest one on the table.
You're lying. That is.
It tastes like one of those.
Either that or Bananarama. Those are.
Have you had the what is it? The Blue Hurricane Margarita mix before? It tastes just like that.
Did you refer to this as a Blue Jolly Rancher one time?
Yeah,
yes.
that's what he said.
I completely agree with that assessment.
It tastes exactly like candy.
Yeah, that's like as soon as I taste that sourness, I'm like, that's
dangerous.
That's
that is.
Oh yeah, like
you make
that
a cocktail out of that.
Oh
Lord,
dude, have that in 11.
Yeah, the only non-alcohol thing is a sweet and sour, and it's only a quarter of the glass. Everything else is alcohol.
You could have fooled me. I would have been like, okay, that's I don't know, blue Fanta or something. Like, it's just like
that's a new Mountain Dew, believe it or not. You just haven't told anyone.
I believe it.
So the next question is, what is the most common misconception about house fires? Like, what is like something that people like really are either don't think about or think about too much?
Like some people tell you, oh, open your windows, or some people tell you, don't open your windows. That kind of that thing.
One big thing that, and again, I have not trying to be like this salty like veteran who's been on there all the years, like, oh, this is my word of advice, but a big thing a lot of people don't think of, or maybe they've heard of it, is the whole like closing your doors at night. That's a big thing, because so
you don't get robbed. I mean, I think that's
you're definitely right about that. Lock your doors, but also interior wise, some people, like when they sleep, they leave the door open or they leave it cracked for airflow.
Right.
But the thing is, you could look online, like actual pictures of people who, like a house that could be completely destroyed by fire, and then somebody who just closed their bedroom door. Their bedroom door is like, there's some slight charring kind of at the bottom where there might be a gap, but all in all, like the room is saved.
Okay.
So for the most part, it's just at night, obviously, turn the stove off when you leave. There's kind of like the whole, like the basic, the things that, like the common sense ones, like don't leave candles going all the time, or, especially if you have children or pets, with the whole like candles, knocking them over. But a big one is just close your doors.
Really?
That's one of the biggest ones.
That's really crazy. See,
just to separate it off.
Exactly. Like it creates
Give yourself some time.
It creates a stronger barrier than you might think. So yeah, if you have your door closed, you might get a little bit of smoke that might wake you up, and then you'll have at least kind of a warning of
I've seen that video of like a firefighter demonstration of like one guy holding up like a plank of wood, and then the other guy's blasting it with a torch on the other side, and the other guy's just setting his hand on the other side of the wood.
Yeah, because the wood's pretty thick at that. Like
it's surprisingly like insulated.
Even like some of the cheap doors, like they'll it's kind of the whole something's better than nothing.
Oh yeah.
So like even those cheap interior doors, they'll at least provide some layer of protection or give you a little bit more than if your door was open and smoke's just drifting in, and then God forbid all those toxic chemicals, gases, things like that kind of get to you.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like, the candles I understand. Like,
2
days ago, my cat was just face deep in a candle. I'm like,
what are we doing?
Your fur catches on fire, you stupid little thing.
Yeah, so what are, like, some of the, more dangerous parts of the fire? I mean, obviously getting burned by the fire, but, like... that one we'll usually
That's
cover.
a big one.
But
Believe it or not.
Yeah, getting all your skin torched off.
Yeah,
crazy.
Another day in the office.
Provided you're in full gear, it's pretty hard because there's almost not an inch of skin exposed. But if you get something going like flash over where temperatures can reach, I'm not going to pretend to know the exact number.
How much do your suits like protect you up to? What's the temperature gauge?
That's
usually
a good question. I don't know specifically, but they definitely protect you from a lot, but they also retain a lot. So I mean, like working in it, I mean it's hot.
Sure.
Like, I'm not gonna. It's hard to pretend that it's it's nothing. It's kind of like a light hoodie. I mean it's heavy. It protects you from the danger, but by no means does it keep you cool or anything like that. I mean you're sweat, like if you're going to work, you're sweating underneath there, and I mean it's taxing.
Back when I was lifeguarding, I briefly did like a junior firefighter program.
Right.
One of those.
Like an Explorers?
Yeah, kind of something like that.
Yeah.
And that was back when I was like 16 maybe. And I climbed their practice tower.
Oh,
it was about
God.
It was about 6 floors, and I did it in the.
Dying.
My God! You guys have my absolute respect. That shit going up. I only went up like 6 flights, and granted that's a bit, but I imagine those high rises that are freaking.
Oh yeah.
22 stories, maybe 50.
Not only that, like
God.
the respect of like not only that you have to carry.
Especially if you're carrying.
If you're
Yes.
carrying somebody, like
I carried up like a
dummy,
50-pound dummy.
Oh, dude.
I know.
When I was in Boy Scouts, I was that guy. I was that
You're
guy.
him.
I'm him.
It's him.
No, we went to the prisons, the firefighters,
For
and
sure.
the police. So we went to the firefighters and we're like, you guys want to try? They had the little glass, like whatever it is, to distinguish the fires that they would throw in there. It just disperses chemicals and it all just goes away. And then they're like, yeah, that's a human body, dummy, and it weighs whatever it was, 200 pounds. Why
Yes.
not? And I'm like, oh, I could probably do that. No, you don't understand. That's 200 plus in America, where they're 500 pounds like on a daily in the South.
Yes, he's not kidding. And again, that's civilian. Like we practice firefighter rescues too. So think of the average even the average person, and kind of sometimes a firefighter is a little bit stronger, a little bit beefier. Plus gear, which adds an extra whatever, plus the air pack.
Yeah.
So dragging them out. I mean,
How much does your gear weigh, give or take? Like just random ballpark.
that's a good
What
question.
does it feel like?
Yeah, what does it feel like to you? Like
1,000 pounds. No, I'm kidding. I think I'm trying to think. Probably boots, pants, coat,
like 50
helmet.
pounds ish.
Roughly, I could be mistaken on that. I haven't weighed it personally, but I feel like I've seen things.
I mean, you guys walk around with the tanks, right? Sometimes.
Yes, like
Oh,
the
shit.
air packs
Yeah.
for sure. And a lot of people know this, but a lot of times not necessarily carrying a body, but even on there's certain things we have to carry on every like fire alarm. So somebody carries the irons, which is the Halligan and the axe.
Oh yeah. I've seen
So
those,
you carry that, and then you also carry the water can, which is basically just a fire extinguisher with water in it.
Okay.
So that has 2.5 gallons of water in it, maybe, give or take. So
It's got
gallon
some
of
weight.
water is
Yeah,
8
I'm about to
pounds,
say.
double that. So it's got like this, and then you're walking up however many flights of stairs.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're not supposed to take the elevator on a fire alarm or
Sure,
anything.
yeah.
So,
What? You're telling
That's
me?
safe.
Yeah, right.
so yeah.
Take the elevator with this blazing fire.
So you're
right
wearing all the gear, you're carrying this water can that's just so obtrusive, and you're carrying these irons, and you're just like, by the time you get there, you're just like, okay, can I set this down now? And then, you kind of have to be ready to, okay, now I'm up to the fire floor, now I have to force this door, so okay, that's going to take, extra energy, so it's all about, endurance, getting heat conditioned, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got to be in some killer shape for that, man.
Yeah, I mean, training in gear is a big thing, just kind of, and then keeping those skills up. But yeah, it's a cardio game for sure.
I'm gonna say condition.
Yeah,
man,
brutal, absolutely brutal.
Like you were saying, you do like one tower in that gear, and you're just like, okay, this is rough. And then you have to do. I'm trying to think in recruit. I mean, we earned so many for things that we did, so it's like, okay, we're gonna do 10 to start. We're gonna do something else, then we're gonna go back, do more. Sometimes if it's a high rise, you carry the high rise packs, which is basically a giant section of hose that they throw in your air pack. So sometimes you're just carrying like 3 different things, and it's
get swole, son. just start working out, start lifting.
It's definitely not easy, but sometimes you can kind of get acclimated to it.
Man, no wonder those guys on that calendar is
always. Those 6-packs don't come cheap.
One day.
He's your future calendar boy. That's Mr. January right there. He starts it off.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, give me the next one,
Skylar. Let's get this last one. This is the Sailor Sunrise.
Sailor Sunrise.
This is the Skylar special.
Ooh, it's not bad.
It's more rum forward for sure.
Oh, a little bit.
There's not too many rum cocktails, and that one I'm into.
It's that.
It's a simple one. I usually like to add the. You can do a variation on this. Add a little bit of pineapple juice and a little bit of lime juice, and then you have yourself a zombie.
Yeah, the zombie.
Way better.
We've had some parties with the zombie.
Woo! I would recommend any of these to anybody at home. They're incredible.
So the last one, it's a little bit of a heavier question.
Yeah.
I'll just
save the best for last.
Wait till I'm nice and liquored up.
Yeah.
This.
So, what is it like to deal with death on a regular basis, like seeing it face to face? Because I think that's a big portion of firefighting that a lot of people forget. Is you're putting out fires, but also dealing with the deceased.
Yeah, it's there's definitely a learning curve, to say the least, with that. And I mean, you don't want to, but almost after a certain point, you kind of get, I hate to say it, but desensitized to it, where you just kind of see it and you're just like, you almost see it, like, especially if someone has, if it comes in as a cardiac arrest, someone is recently, like, they've been witnessed to have, gone unresponsive, pulseless, not breathing.
Right.
You're able to distance yourself in a way, because you're just like, okay, I have a job to do. Like, somebody's putting the pads on to defibrillate, someone's trying to start an IV, maybe they have to drill, get an IO. Like, you almost have to just focus on your task and say, like, okay, I know I'm doing everything in my power for this person.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely not easy sometimes, afterwards, where you put in all this work and then you get them to the hospital and, you tell the doctor what's going on, and the doctor has ultimate authority. So they just go, sometimes you put in all this work and the doctor just goes, yeah, okay, it's been, how long has it been since you've been working them? And it's like, okay, call it, and then you're just like,
oh, wow.
You're like, okay, but, then you think, like, you can kind of rest easy knowing, like, okay, we did everything we were supposed to do. We followed protocol to the T.
Right.
And now you can feel good at, feel good about doing that. But other times it's just kind of, it's interesting because, I mean, considering I was on shift yesterday and we had pretty much a similar thing where somebody had checked on somebody, or they were calling to check on somebody. They were like, okay, we can. They went around the side, looked through the window, said, okay, yeah, I see him in bed. Then they called us for. Sometimes it comes in as like deceased person, and PD just calls us to kind of confirm it. Sometimes there's definitive signs that sometimes we don't even have to like touch them; we can just kind of tell. But with this one we had to we went inside, we checked, and unfortunately they were recently deceased, but they were still too far gone to the point where they had definitive signs. So it was just, but at that point you're just like, well, there's nothing we could do. Like,
so it really is just one of those, like. In a lack of a better term, like, obviously it's not really, you get used to it, but you get used to it.
You almost don't want to, but it kind of happens where you're just like, if you beat yourself up over every single call, you're just like, you're gonna get burnt out, and it's gonna catch up to you, and you kind of have to say, like, if you feel comfortable enough in your skills, and like I said, knowing that you did everything you could do, then it's just kind of, it is what it is, and you're just like, okay, it's up to the doctors, it's up to the people at the hospital. If they want to work him, great. If not, then that's
you
their
did your job.
Exactly.
Like,
we did our job getting them to the hospital. We did everything we could, giving medications, compressions, breaths to them in the meantime. we did our job, which is getting them there, and now it's kind of in somebody else's hands.
That's awesome. Like that's that's the best way to look at it too. I've talked to even military veterans who've done like the medical work in the field. Same thing, where it's just like, you just got to focus on doing your job.
Exactly.
And then just next person, next job, next
Like,
job.
yeah, you still have to think of them as a person, but at the same time, you're just like, okay, my job is compressions, and you're just so focused on making sure you're giving this person good compressions.
Yep.
And doing like a great job, or like someone's
do it.
Yeah, like, but you don't want to get too hung up, in a way you don't want to get too hung up on saying like, oh gosh, what happened? What was this? What was that? Like, you have so many other people there that like everybody gets a job. There's kind of like the whole like pit crew CPR model. Like somebody just sticks to this, somebody just sticks to that, and then somebody's just sticking to this other job.
Right.
And so everybody, like you said, is so focused on their task that you don't really get like too caught up in it. And kind of at the end of the call, if it's like a really traumatic one, then they kind of do something called debriefing, where you can kind of go over and say, hey, this is what we did, this is what we could have done better, this is what happened, something like that.
It's kind of like a therapy in a way, where it's like, hey,
exactly.
Look, you did what you could, this is what we got to work on next time.
Exactly.
Right.
And perhaps as damaging as it could be to lose somebody on the job, or even passing it off and then that person gets lost. It's probably just as rewarding when you guys successfully
exactly
save someone.
Yeah, and that was kind of something that I had to kind of get over, like when I first started the job. I mean, it's kind of the corny phrase where like you always remember your first, where it's just like when you kind of get your first cardiac arrest, you're kind of all amped up, and then you're new, you don't know a whole lot, so they're just like, okay, your compressions, and you're just doing as much as you can. And then it was like, I mean, I still remember like the first one that I had, or there's one that was even after that, but it was just like there's a dramatic circumstance surrounding that one, but you still like remember it, and then it just kind of, it makes you want to be better. Like, okay, maybe I couldn't do something to save that person, but for the next person, now I know I could do this smoother. I could, there's different steps. Exactly.
It's the big, it's like anything you do in life, you're gonna learn from any mistakes that you're gonna make, which is a big thing. That's awesome, man. Like I know it's such a sensitive topic at that too. Like everyone's has, they deal with it their own way. That's the biggest thing. They deal with it their own way. But I think I speak for everyone. Like we appreciate everything you guys do. You guys are awesome. You guys help us in every way possible, and we couldn't thank you enough for it. Colin, man, like, thank you so much, dude. Like, this was awesome.
Thank you guys for having me. I had a great time, great drinks, great company.
Dude, this was awesome. Like, we would love to probably have you on again down the line. Like, you did so good. I appreciate you just coming and just sharing all the information that, a lot of people just don't understand about firefighters and understand about, like, hey, there's more than just the suit that you see. We're not just fighting fires. We're not just doing this. And it's awesome to have you here. Is there anything you want to add? Anything you want to kind of throw in there for anyone you want to shout out?
Trying to think. I mean, there were so many people that kind of helped me when I was on my probationary year, and I mean, I'm sure they know who they are, but the place I'm at, very great, very supportive. I mean, I couldn't have done it alone. I mean, that's for sure. But overall, thank you guys for having me. I had a great time.
Absolutely.
And yeah, like you said, hopefully in a couple of years, maybe you could have me back, and I'll have more interesting stories, and you can have
I can't wait to see
questions.
how you turn out in a couple of years when you have some real things.
Man, what's all this BLS nonsense?
It's gonna be grizzled man.
He's gonna come in here, big old beard. All right, I done seen some stuff. Colin, thank you
1,000-yard stare. Just like, you don't know what I've seen.
He's not going to be the same man next time we see him.
It's not even going to be serious questions anymore. It's just going to be, how do you feel about pancakes? And he's just going to be,
I saw a guy die once.
Exactly. It'll be,
I saw a man choke on pancakes. It's like, okay, all right.
It'll just be a recurring series of like my demise, just like
keeping up with Colin, and just slowly till his retirement, we're just rocking. I'm 34 years old, and
I look 70. Shit. I'm like got like high blood pressure. I'm like, just like,
oh my god. All right, well, I just want to say thank you again so much for coming. Thank you so much for being on here. If you guys also can follow, you want any social media you want to kind of, you don't have to, but is there any social media you want to have anyone follow you on, just to kind of keep up fire news and all that fun stuff?
I wish I could say I'm like some guy who runs some big account who can give you some information, but unfortunately I'm not. But
that's good enough with me.
Maybe in the description we'll tag it, but we'll see.
I love that. Anyway, if you guys want to keep up with us, there's Leaky Lounge Podcast. You can go follow on YouTube. You have right here on Captain Peaches, right, this guy right here. We have Marvelous Maze. Make sure you keep up with all our information. Go on on Instagram. Follow us on Leaky_Lounge, and then there's Captain Peaches right here. Guys, we want to thank Colin so much for being here.
Thank you again.
Absolutely, man, dude, you're awesome. You're awesome, and I hope we see you guys in the next video. Go love somebody, go hug somebody. Just make sure just keep everyone close, because life's too short. Pieces.
Bye bye.
Have a good day, guys.